Hi. Okay, back doing this again. Since in between the first time I did this and now I have made some progress on the project. Mostly just been is the mic peaking? No, I don't think it's peaking. It doesn't seem like it's peaking. Okay. I've made some progress. I didn't stream it because it was during class, right? So let me adjust my mic a little bit. Yeah, I didn't stream it because it was progress during class, which means that, you know, the internet in the class is bad and I wouldn't want to be streaming, doing the whole streaming bit there anyways. But yeah, I've made a small amount of progress. I will tell you what I did just for the sake of completeness. So you see this game object here that is called field, right? So if you go to the scene, this is an actual game object, not something in the canvas. So let me turn off the canvas so that you can see that a little bit better. So this field object is an empty object as of now, but it has a couple of scripts, and these scripts are to generate the world of the game. So this is for the this is the level generator. It has a bunch of game objects here that are the different rows, and each row has an index that holds a bunch of prefabs that basically just tell it which things to generate each row, right? Right now these prefabs are just placeholders, but yeah, you can see row 1 is 1 empty and 4 empty ones, which are these yellow ones right here, and 1 empty normal, which is the cyan one, and then these two just have empties, and then these just hold the indexes, and field is the one that is in charge of generating all of these. So a thing that is a bit counterintuitive here is that the row 1 is the one at the bottom. That's because of how Unity does transform coordinates. So you can see here the position y is at 0. If I put it up at 1, it moves up, right? So actually what I should do is list them from bottom to top. That order shouldn't matter, right? like that. And then the other thing that it does is that it has this checker pattern script that allows me to have these game objects just kind of fade to a slightly darker color just so that it looks nice, right? So, and I don't have to make individual different prefabs for each of these colors. I can just have it like, hey, you're the yellow one, and it knows to checker itself here. I do have to fix this issue where they do that every time except for the one at the top. I think that the row, it's gotta be an issue with max row number. I think I probably just messed up a for loop and added a -1. It's a classic of pi 1 error. Should be easy to fix. Yeah, it's darkening. Right, so it goes for each integer I equals 0 for as long as I is smaller than the map length, and the map here is given to you. Who gives this to you? It should probably be the level generator. The level generator generates and then darkens, and he gives you the rows. And the rows is a script like this. So map point length I++. Right, so this should be, because these are the rows, this should be just this should fix it, right? That feels wrong. That feels like it's gonna give me an index out of bounds error, but maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, it does give me an index out of bounds. Okay, so what's going on? Because this is row number 3. This is, I mean, they're all called row 1, but that's because these are just test functions, test objects. These are not the definitive names. Okay, so it is row 2, right? Like this is the one? Yeah, that's the one. So row, yeah, it's row 2, it's this one. And it is element number 2. And you start from I equals 0, so long as I is smaller than the length of the map. So when I equals 2, right, then you're going into J, and for each J equals 0, so long it is, okay, so I equals 2, 2 modulo 2 does equal 0, yes, and then this should be 0. 0 modulo 2 also equals 0, so this one correctly doesn't darken. Then the next one is this. This one should be. This one should darken. For this one, J should be equal to 1. And it's 0, J smaller than... Is it just that I... No, it's not. What's going on here? What's going on here? Okay, well, let's do this. I want you to print me... Oh god, what did I do? This, okay. I want you to, before you darken the individual tile, I want you to print me the number, the coordinates of the thing that you're doing. So, print me I plus a space plus J. The space is there so that it actually prints and doesn't try to add the numbers together. So it just prints them individually. I feel I'm looking at the mic feed and it looks like it's peaking. Let me just give it a test. Just test. Yeah, it does seem kind of loud. Okay, this should be better. Should be peaking less. Should be. It still feels like... Okay, hold on, give me a second. Because that may just be electrical noise or something. Just like massaging the cable a little bit could fix it or make it better. No, that's still terrible. Okay, hold on. What the fuck is going on here? What is... You're using the Samsung, yes. Advanced audio properties. I do have like a limiter, right? This is noise suppression. For some reason I'm running noise suppression twice. Okay. Okay. Is that better? No, that's terrible. That's still terrible. 1 second. Is this test? No, still picking the fuck out of it. What the fuck? I didn't change any settings. Am I just using a better cable? Am I just... Mic test. No, still peaking. Still peaking? Still peaking. Oh, what the fuck, man? And I can hear a lot of electrical noise too. And I have this shit turned way the fuck down. So what the fuck is going on? Hold on, maybe if I just... Test. Nope, still fucking hell. Okay, 1 second. Okay, so I can This is fucking odd. Okay, hold on. Okay, testing 1 2 3. 1 2 3 1 2 3. Testing microphone 1 2 3 1 2 3. Okay, it's better. It's not good, but it's better. Maybe I'll just lower it and we'll just call that good enough for now. Okay. The issue is that it was peaking a lot. Okay. enough of that. Okay, we're trying to fix this. Oh, god damn it, I can hear it. It's gonna bother me the rest of the day. I can hear it peaking. Hold on. Peaking. Microphone. Microphone. Still peaking. Still peaking. Still peaking. Still. Still? Yeah. Yeah, no, that sounds awful. You know, the thing is, probably I'm the only person that cares here. I really don't like this. Because it was working well the last time, and I'm using the same cable and everything. Is it better now? Is it any better? At all? Any better? Testing, testing, testing? What? Is it any better? No. Peaking? Not peaking? Yes, peaking. Peaking? Peaking. Okay. Testing, testing. Oh. Oh, wow, that's a lot better. That's a lot better. All I did was plug it into the other slot. Okay, we're gonna call it good enough, and we'll see if this is a reproducible problem or something. Okay, back to what I was actually doing. Right. So what I'm doing here is trying to fix this bug where for some reason the checker pattern on this script is not applying to these objects, right? So I started by debugging by telling it to print me every coordinate in ij. I is the rows and j is the columns. So it should be printing me every single position that there is. In this case is 0, 1, and 2, right? 0, 1, and 2 for the rows, and 0 to 6 for the 0 to 5 actually. 0 to 5 for the columns. So it has 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it's not printing the 2's. Okay, it's not printing the 2's. What the hell? Okay, so map point length is... What is map point length? Map point length should be 3, right? You're being called from here, and you calculate the size, and when you calculate the size, you are debugging me the size, which is 6 on the x-axis, 3 on the y. So 6, 3, right? Yes. And then 3, darken is being past the rows. The length of the rows should be 3. So why is it only doing 0 to 1? It's 0, 1, and 2 is more than length. Is that right? Map point length. Three, right? So length is 3. So it should be doing 0, 1, and 2. but for some reason it's not going into the 2. So the only reason that it will not go into the 2 is that when it begins the 2, map I point slots point length is already, or rather a j being 0 is already bigger or equal to map I point slots point length. Map in position I point slots, which should be an array, and it is. I know that it is because it works on the others. So, I mean, get rid of this. Print me that number then. Let's check. If at any point this number shouldn't be 0, that's the thing. It should be 6 every time, at least for this example. So print me map I slots length. That'll be the only way that this is not happening, is that this for some reason is 0 at that part of the loop. And if that's the case, then that means that the issue is in the constructor of the map thing, the map structure, not the objects themselves. So you're printing 6 12 times? 12 times? Where are you? Should only happen 3 times. No, it shouldn't, because it goes into this every time. So, going to here, right? Now it's gonna print it only 3 times. Expected behavior is 6 3 times. 6 6 and 0. 6 6 and 0. Okay. That means that I know where the issue must be. That means that this level generator is putting 3 different arrays into the rows thing here when it positions the rows, but it's not actually filling the last one. The last one is just, for whatever reason, not actually properly set up. So what you're doing is you're going into each of these and you're saying for each of these, move it to the position that I tell you to move it. Right? So hold on, what's going on? Right, these are type row index, so let's see there. So yeah, these are set from the inspector as the one, the script reference. And then the script reference has a slots thing, but the issue is that this happens in start. And this checker pattern also happens in oh, so it's an issue of timing. That's what's going on. So I will have to make sure that this happens in awaken so that all of this stuff is ready by the time I do in start. Because the slots has to be created during execution. It can't be there from before because these are prefabs and these are actual in-game objects. That's what's happening. That should fix it, I think. There you go. Okay, good. So we have the map generation algorithm done, and now we need to make sure that these are actual things as opposed to just little nothings, right? Let's remove this debug line that I don't actually want anymore. And also that one, I don't remember where that one is. This one is in level generator 42, which is this. Okay, yes, I don't want you anymore. Okay, So then, what I have is a script that is generating these little prefab things. It's generating these little guys. No, not these little guys. These little terrain guys, right? And so what I need is to store what they are supposed to be in memory, because we're not going to be dealing with collisions and in-world positions. We're going to just have them saved to a grid that is going to be stored in memory through my scripts. That way my positioning is more precise and I don't run into... There's no potential for the issue of having something in between spaces. The in between space doesn't just straight up doesn't exist, right? So in order to save these things into memory, what I saw my programming professor do is to have each one of those as like a, you know, type of, like, create an object type that he called grid item, right? And then index that from the prefab. So whenever one of those is created, this memory knows that. What I'm thinking is that it's probably easier if I use tags, because every game object has a tag, so then I can just be like, yes, this is the player, or yes, this is the... And then based on the tag, I know whether they're going to have a script that I can then access. The issue is that I don't want to use get components every time. So it might be good to just have a reference to a script, right? Already stored. Although, given that this is not a particularly actiony game, it may not be an issue to be using get components a lot. Since that would make me not want to use... Yeah. The thing with trying to use get component a lot is that it can be slow, or it's slower than it would be to just have a reference saved. But since this is just like it's just kind of a grid based thing, I think I could get away with doing the get component. I'm not sure. I'm mulling it over, thinking if there's a better solution for that. 1 second. Right. So, because what I'm thinking is, right, because this level generator is going to have in memory just a two-dimensional array of each object, right? Well, no, actually, it has just this get element of chord. So it just returns the game object, right? So what I could do is... Yeah, because I'm thinking it, because they're gonna need to have different scripts that do different things. Or actually, would they? I could just have one script that holds all of the interactions, and then that script knows what function to call based on the things that are in each slot, right? Is that a scalable solution? Because then I could just store the tags, right? Is that something that I'm going to want to do that way? Because then I can just have the level, this field component or rather this field game object, hold all of the references, and it wouldn't be a problem. Because this can give me that object, and from that object I can get that tag. And then each object is going to have just a function, right, that says just an object, just a function that tells it where it is, or rather where it should be in the world. I realize this is not very interesting to watch because all of the stuff is happening inside of my mind. Would that be a good solution? Because see, I don't want to get stuck in the position where I'm gonna have to refactor all of my code, so I'm trying to think if this is actually a good solution, or if it just seems like a good idea right now. Because I'm thinking of what else I want to do with this game, right? And different things are going to be interacting with different things, but like, if that all can be handled from the level generator, and then the level generator, all that each object does is have a script that tells it where in the world it should be, it should go, right? Okay, let's start by doing that. Let's start by making the script that puts them in the world position where they should go with a little smooth motion, right? And then we can translate that into a little animation for creating the level. So let's start by doing that. So we shall have a script world positioner. So what this script is going to do is it's going to have a vector. Let's make it a vector 2. Vector 2 that is desired world position. And then all it does is that on its update function, it's going to take the desired world position, and we're going to have a float that is going to be the lerp strength. Not 0. Let's make it 20. Let's make it 10. Right, and then we are going to have every frame. It's going to be if desired world position is different than transform point position, and this is going to be transformed into a vector 2 type variable so that they can actually be compared. If they're if they're the same, then just return, and that way we're not doing lerps when we shouldn't be. Otherwise, do the actual lerp, which is transform point position equals vector. You can lerp vector 2s, right? Vector 2 from the transform point position. I forgot to write it completely every time. Transform point position to the desired world position by a factor of lerp strength and time point delta time. I realize that delta time is not really consistent when I'm using it in this way, but this creates the smoothing numbers that make sense to me, right? Cannot be used like a method. Okay, where is that? Vector 2, point lerp. That's what I want. Transform does not contain a definition for propositions. Nope. Yes. Yep, and let's separate these a little bit so that they look nicer. Like that. Transform does not... Oh, no, there you go. Okay. So then, what I can do is have a public... Actually, no. I can just make this public. And then I can... yeah, I'm gonna need a way to access this script from within level generator, or anybody who may want to reposition them. So how about we make it so that these row... how will we make it so that these row indexers don't actually store game objects, but they store those game objects' world positioners? Would that even work? Create object, and then I will have to make it so that... yeah. Instantiate that? Yeah, you instantiate it, and then you get the component that is that world positioner. And that's what you put in slots. Then here you take this world positioner, and then debug that object to that point, game object. Then, but that's gonna mean that this has to work with that. Get the element. Yeah, you're getting the element that is a script world positioner. Calculate the size. Word. Yep. We're dealing with rows and with slots. Yeah, no, this doesn't actually care what's in those arrays. Except for here, but still doesn't. And this still works because you're just doing the get component, and that's accessible from the script. Oh, where is this? Okay, checker pattern 12. Mercantile, yeah, I can just... Where? Line 50. Line 50? In the level generator. Oh, yeah, this. Because the idea is that script is a script that every single object in the grid is going to have, right? Right, and then, since those are being accessed there, then they're going to be, their functions are going to be public, and this variable, which is what I want. So then here where you position, when this row index positions each one of those world positioners, it's going to... yeah, it's going to give it this position and just instantiate these. And slot desired world pos equals position, and that should prevent them from moving away from where I want them to. Would that work? Well, yeah, it doesn't, but that's because the prefabs don't actually have that that script in them, so just gotta make sure that they do. Take you, lock you. Actually, just world positioner you, and you are also going to have that world positioner. These are just the test anyway. These are not the actual scripts as they're going to go into the game. Right. Okay. So I do know that the script works. So actually, let's double check that. So what should be happening is that for some reason they all want to be at y0, right? Yeah. Okay, so I do know that the scripts work, but for some reason they're not being given the actual world position that I want them to have, because the position is the transform point position point y. I x and y. So this is the world position point y is, for all of this, it's 0, 0, 0, right? Which it shouldn't be. Which it shouldn't be. I'm sorry, is the field the one that is moving them? The level generator? Yeah, it's positioning the rows. Right, so don't bother actually then. Just don't bother calculating the position. Just generate them in the center. Just in you know, vector 3 in vector 3 0, right? And don't worry about the world position, because the issue is that this create objects is happening before the level generator has a chance to position the rows where I want them to be. So then what I'm going to do is these row indexes are going to have their own function, another function that is going to just position all of the objects individually, right? So the objects are created, then the level generator positions each row in the correct Y position, then each row index is going to try to position those objects, and that should give me a nice effect where like the level seems to unfold from the center as well, because they are being instantiated in position 0 and then being moved to the correct spot, which is the thing that I wanted to do. It's that animation that I mentioned I wanted to do, so actually that works in my favor very much. So yeah, let's do that then. So yeah, I'm gonna need a function that is position objects void public. It's gotta be a public function so that it can be called from the level generator public void position objects. And I call it position objects, but that's not actually what it's doing. The world positioner is positioning the objects, and all this does is telling the world positioner where I actually want the objects to go. So we're going to go for each how come this works actually? Oh, because this is an object. Yeah, for each script world positioner in the slots array, do this. Calculate the position. Which position should we go in? we want to the y position should be just your own y. So vector 2 position equals new vector 2. The y position is just your own y, so we're gonna call it, it's gonna be transform point position point y, and then the x position is going to be the current slot that you want to have. I'm doing whole numbers, right, to make the calculations easier. So let's have int I equals 0, it starts at 0, and this is going to be transform it to float, just to be sure, to I, right? And then when we finish this, just make sure that to add 1 to I, so that we don't discoordinate. And then go to that positioner and change the desired world position to that position. And yeah, do that. And then I gotta make sure that I call this for each row in the level generator, right? And that's gotta be after you position the rows. Or during works, position the rows, and then in that row call that function, and then that should do it. And then that should make it so that every object is generated dead middle, and then it spreads out, and it should look nice, right? Okay, what is this? The variable position is declared but never used. This is in row index 19. Row index 19 here. You are right. Thank you for the warning. Okay, it doesn't look as nice as I would have liked. Maybe. Right, because the objects are getting instantiated, but then the whole row is being moved. But you know what? That actually doesn't look terrible. I can always just think about how I want it to look later. Now, of course, the very nice thing about this is that then I can access this script and just change this, right? And I'll be getting objects to move. And so I can just handle all that, which is the values of the grid. Then the only way that I need them to move on the screen is by accessing this variable. And the reason I'm not accessing this variable, right, is because this lets me just work with integers the whole time and have the movement still be smooth, right? So then, you know, you can imagine being the player and just pressing the keys, and then just the game takes care of this. But I'm realizing something, actually. What happened to my canvas? Oh, I disabled it. Yep. There you go. This still works, which is nice. Okay. So, then I have to think about what to do next. A thing that I realized the other day that I should have done is this schedule panel has this image. The issue is that that image is yellow, and I could make it white or grayscale, and then same thing as the other squiggles, I can just edit the color a lot nicer here. Because, you know, right now it's having the same issue where if I make it blue, I can't, right? If for whatever reason I wanted to do that, That's impossible right now. It just washes out completely. And if I wanted it to be like white, I also couldn't, right? So gotta get used to that to give myself as much freedom as possible with these game objects. I have to make them as grayscale as I can. Show me these in the Explorer, and then open this in my Paint program. Yep, right here. But I mean, this is easy. I can just... This is white. Oh, never mind. No tolerance, no anti-aliasing, like that. Then this, and make it just like gray, but not so gray, like this. Obviously, if you want more specific stuff out of your art, the grayscale approach doesn't quite work then, but there are things you can do. I don't want stuff that is too specific anyway, so this, to me, this suits me just fine, right? And then what I do is I copy the color from the input panel from the left squiggle, this one, copy it, and I paste it on this guy. And there you go, virtually the same. But now, if I wanted it to be blue, I can make it blue. Or if I wanted it to be white, right? More freedom. Okay. Oh yeah, another thing that I did, that I, while I was home, or rather while I was at class, that I forgot to say earlier, is there's a bit of a camera system, and it works very well in that, for example, I have this row. If I wanted to make this just a lot bigger, right, the camera automatically knows to zoom out and let me see more, right? Like you saw before, this was taking the whole space. So when you generate the level, the camera knows to adjust to that and to be able to show the whole thing. And this works horizontal and vertically. It'll check whichever length forces it to zoom out the farthest, and then it zooms out by that amount, so you never get one of the two measurements getting in the way of the other one. So that is pretty nice. I tested it a bunch. I know that it works, right? So now I need to think what to do right now. Right. So, okay. Let's do a couple of things that I got some feedback from the professor. First things, I need to work on some of these graphics. The rest of this mouse button is not going to show up during gameplay, but I think that having the full asset would allow me to use it in other moments. I think that a good way... Okay. Let's talk about effective video game design for a little bit. Here's a thing that I really like about certain games, and this is a bit of a personal preference of mine, really. It's not something like a maxim of game design, but I personally really appreciate games that teach you how to play them in subtle ways before you've even pressed start. Right? What do I mean? What do I mean by this? You know how there's Mega Man X? When you're at the menu, a little picture of Mega Man shows up at the left of the. I think it's Mega Man X. A little picture of Mega Man shows up at the left of the button that you're about to press, and then when you press to accept that button to confirm, he shoots from his blaster, right? And so that it's not like 100% teaching you that, obviously, but it does put in your mind the idea that with this button you shoot the blaster, right? So like it's not like extremely concise and just immediately understandable to anyone, but it nudges you in that direction, right? And I think that it is a good thing for games to start by doing that. So the thing that I want to do is to have this. Okay, you can imagine if this had the whole mouse on it, right, and was more recognizable as a mouse with the two buttons at the top. And I just had it here on the top of the screen, right? And you say you had a button here that you have to click in order to actually start the game. And when you click it, this squiggle just becomes visible, and then when the game starts, this whole symbol moves over here, right? So same thing as the Mega Man X example. It's not something that is necessarily going to immediately tell you exactly what's going on, but it does nudge you in the right direction of understanding, oh, that's what this means. It's those two mouse buttons, right? And so that's what these arrows here might be relating to, right? And just kind of puts the idea and puts this symbol, more importantly, because the cutout mouse icon is not necessarily going to be immediately understood as that. You gotta take into account this is extremely simplistic, right? Like it could be a lot of things. It's just an arch and two lines. You aren't going to immediately know that that's what it is, right? And you might not realize that this game does not control with the arrow keys. So just by having that symbol and keeping it on screen, right, I kind of encourage you to try out the mouse, which is the only method of course, control that you are going to actually have, right? So in order to do that, I'm going to need this icon to be complete to have the full mouse. So let's rectify that a little bit. Let's also open this graphic. Open with paint.net. Okay. Okay, so having this, I can have right, so let's just make this a little bit larger. Canvas size. Yeah, I'm gonna need this canvas to be larger. I'm going to have a height of, let's say, 300. And also all of this transparent. And if I want to keep the same drawing style, I'm gonna need to remove the anti-aliasing hardness to 100% and make sure that I got the right size for the thing. This looks about right. And then match the color, which is easy because it's just pure white. Then you just finish drawing the mouse, right? So like that. And that may not be immediately understood as a mouse, but I have another thing that I want to do, which is just have these lines, right? Are those? Yeah, those are what I want. I want to have these lines, they have to be a bit thinner, like here. And the idea is that these would be cables, or rather that I could use them for several purposes, but that one of them would be like as a cable. So let's just put a bunch of them. It's supposed to be very thin and have that hand-drawn style to them. Okay, that's probably enough. So we'll save that, and that's going to mess with all of the graphics inside of the project, right? But that's fine because we can fix them. I have to go here and go to the... No, these are the arrows. It's not that one. It's this one. I have to go here, go to the sprite editor. Right. And so the thing that I have to do is Slice them all automatic and delete the ones that exist. Yeah, like that. And it's very important that these have the pivot in the right spot, right? And I think that for these I actually want it at the bottom center. So pivot, bottom center. Pivot. Actually, is that the right spot? No, I wanted to start like at the same spot here, relative to the line itself. So I probably want, give me a custom pivot, yeah. Move it like right here. Let's just make it pixels actually. 3, 0, 4, 3.5. Then here, pivot custom. Y should be 0, yeah, and this should be 3.5, probably? No, 2.5. Then same here, this one's custom. This one you need to move it a lot more. Okay, so let's say 14.5. That works. Same here, custom, and you move to the right, and you go to 4.5. Same here, pivot custom, move to the right. 1.5 as well. And pivot custom. 6.5. Those are all the pivots in the right spot, right? Apply this, and that should make it so that the only thing that I have to reposition now then would be the mouse. Yeah. So the mouse sprite needs to be set to its native oh, hold on, I think this might be an issue. Because I think when I set that to its native size, these might get resized along with it. Yeah, no, they don't. Oh, okay, that's nice. Okay. Like this, and then you, I want to place you lower down, but that's gonna lower the squiggles along with them. So let's take these squiggles out of here, move the mouse sprite down so that it matches the right spot. It should be like here. About, right? There's something I don't like about this. Did the squiggles move when I said yes, they did move? Okay. Let's pull these out to maintain their position. Then set native size, then move this thing down. There you go, that's better. And now I have this. Right, that should work. Right, okay. So then that's done. So then why did I make those other lines? Those other lines were made because I want to change this little thing. Remember, we have to make sure that everything is style-wise within the same realm. That, you know, if I'm going for this sort of free hand-drawn look, that everything goes in line with that, right? And so this line is too straight for that. This line is too well made. So what we can, I forgot to, these must go inside of here. So then what I can do for that is to have this divider and pass it one of those lines. Let's make sure that I know which of these. Okay, so I'll give you this line and then set the native size, and this line is now right there. Right, and then I just have to match this scale, so that is 3.8. 30.8. Just move you right over here. And let's say that I make you white, right? And then to this divider, I can pass the same sort of messy script or animation that I was using for the arrows, which should be the UI random sprite. And then I give you this image, and I give you this, and the sprite list. I'll give you 1, 2, 3, 4, these 6. So 6 sprites. I'll just give you this, this, and this. And now, the switch time, right? For the arrows, they have a switch time of 0.1, but that may be too much for this. I don't want everything to be shaken all the damn time. So maybe I should give this more. Let's give it 0.5 and see how that looks. Right, okay. So I'm running into the same issue as before, where this thing is being squashed as the proportions of those sprites change. So I just gotta make sure that they're all the same size, which shouldn't be difficult. Go into the sprite editor and take the biggest one. They're all the same length in Y, right? Aren't they? No, not really. Okay, that's fine. Take the tallest one. So this is height 205, 207, 207, 213, 213, and make all of them that. 213, 213, 213, 213, 13. And then same for the width. So this is 9, 10, 19, 19. That's what I wanted. So that's 19, 19, 19, 19, 19, 19. Then make sure that none of the squares are overlapping. So here, move the X a little bit there. That's good. And then readjust all of the just pivots. Like that. Apply, and then go to this divider, and I assume that it's going to have squashed, so set to your native proportions, say native size, and it stays on 3.8. Okay, that's nice. And then put you right over here. I'm not sure how much I like that line. It might move a bit too much. Let's make it gray so that it doesn't hold too much attention to itself, right? Yeah, the issue is that some of these sprites are way too... have the centering way too different of a spot. But actually, that can be fixed, can't it? You can go here and just What you look over here? And actually, I'm realizing that the pivot doesn't make a difference in this instance, so let's just not worry about that. And just move you here, and move you here, and move you here, and move you here, and move you here, here, then move you here, and then just make sure that none of these are colliding outside of their boundaries, which this one kind of is. So you come over here. Oh, but then I have to make sure that the sizes work, don't I? How about we just don't bother with that one? Just fuck it, right? Just that one doesn't exist. And then I can take this divider and be like, yeah, that sprite, that one's not real. Yeah, that's a lot better. Okay, so the reason I want that divider to look nice is because I'm going to be using it in a bunch of other stuff. In particular, I want to use it here. So on the left panel, right? So I want to have one of these dividers in the schedule panel. I want to have it like here, and one other like here. So the idea is to make it a bit clearer what order those arrows are going to be moving in, right? I'm not sure I like that though. Yeah, I'm just trying to think of what better solution there is, because in terms of how it looks, I don't like how it looks. It just looks like, I know that the whole look that I'm going for is messy, but this looks too messy. There's just too much in too close of a space. It looks fine here, it's just here that it looks kind of bad. Hmm. How do I do this? How can I communicate that idea a bit better? Hmm? Hmm. No, I'm not sure what to do here. Okay, maybe this is a problem for later. Maybe this is not something I need to concern myself with right now. Let's just eliminate these and we'll think about it some other time. Hey, kitty. Hold on, there's my cat. Do you want to go out? Yeah, he just wanted to go out of the room. Okay, I'll tell you what. I'm gonna go to the rest. I'm gonna take a little break, take a little pee break, and then we're going to continue. Okay, I gotta say that background music that I decided on the whim that I was going to have in the stream, I thought it was going to become annoying and I was going to have to switch it back to the other one, but actually, it's been fine. It hasn't been too annoying, at least not for me. I don't know about you. And obviously, I'm the most important person in this whole operation, so no. But did my chat window close? Oh, hold on, give me a second. It's in. There it is. Why did I close it? I closed it by accident at some point. If somebody was in chat, which I doubt, I couldn't read it. Okay, so what we're doing right now is I forgot. Okay, yeah, I need to start dividing the space, right? I need to start programming the stuff that is actually going to be in the field, so that I can actually check how my system is going to work. So first, let's make this invisible for now, and then let's think about how we want stuff to look. So first of all, we definitely want something that looks like this, right? But not quite like this, but like in this sort of thing. We need little squares, and I want them to be messy, but not too messy, right? So let's use this as like a size comparison, and then we're going to actually think about how we're going to do this. So I would like a grayish color to have something like this. Like, first of all, I need a wall, right? First of all, I need a way to mark a free space. And I think that something like this, or just like this, would be enough. Like, a free space should look mostly empty, so let's just mark it with a little dot like this. Let's just mark it with a little dot like this, right? So this will be our empty space, and we want our cells to be, let's say, this size. So let's get a new layer, and we're gonna have cells be marked in this size. So now I can make the canvas size just like a lot bigger. Actually, that's way too much. Like this. Like this. And I can take this, just eliminate all that useless black, and I can copy this square, paste it here, then paste it here, but in this instance we're going to be coloring it offensive green, and then here, and that's going to be our and then we can just build a checker pattern like this. And so the idea is that this is the size of each cell, and so we can keep a consistent size between elements if we just limit ourselves to this. I'm just going to do that for now. So this is going to mark an empty space, just a little squiggle dot. Actually, I like the idea of an empty dot, so let's do that instead. Let's have like pixel size like this, make it white, just have like this. Now, these elements that are not like that important in gameplay should not have like a lot of frames to be cycled through, right? But let's give each of them at least 3. That way I'll see if I like it. Let's give it 4, just for the sake of evenness. And that way I'll know whether I like it or not, right? Then I'm going to need a sort of wall, right? This wall should look square and solid, but probably not that straight. The idea is this is something that you can bump into. So let's have these walls just be squares like this, and then have them have like a thin sort of brick pattern to them, right? And so you can understand, oh, these are walls, right? And then we do the same, just sort of a different, just hand-drawn variation on each of these. That's too straight. And then I gotta make sure that these lines are in vaguely the same position so that they don't look like they're morphing, they just look like they're, you know, shifting. So, this. And then same like this. A lot of this is just working on the style that I actually want to work with. And then just to sell that they're supposed to be solid, let's have a gray color right here. It's going to fill these. The reason it's gray is so that I can recolor it within the game, right? And then we're going to need a player. And this is where I'm going to struggle because I don't know what I want my player to look like. I was thinking maybe I could just have a little happy face, right? But maybe I could do with something else. I mean, the style is very reminiscent of like Baba Is You, right? So maybe I could just take something from that and just have it be like a little guy. Like a little amorphous little blob. But to try to split away from Baba Is You maybe a little bit, maybe I could have it be just, you know, just a little spidery fella. Like this. Do we like this? I think it's kind of cute. And then all I have to do is just sort of redraw this guy, right? In 4 positions, which shouldn't be very difficult. And then I can have the same little... like I call him a spidery fella, but he doesn't look that much like a spider. Right? Just make sure that the main body kind of works. I would like him to be more round, please. Yeah, it's sort of like a pear, or like an avocado, actually. Okay, I like this shape, but it should be moved a little bit. Like here. And then we just do his little legs. This? Or is that too big? That's too big. And then we can have its little face. And then, you know, you can imagine reflecting this horizontally in order to do when he's facing right, but I'm going to need a different thing for when he's facing up or down. So let's have him be... When he's facing away from the screen, he should look... That's way too big. He should look like this, probably. Right? Instead of leaning to the side, he looks a bit more symmetrical. And let's just delete this a little bit so that he looks thinner, like this. And of course, the outstanding design element in this little boy is the little legs. Little skidry legs that he has. Right? And then just... Right? And then when he's facing towards us, he's gonna look the same, but with a base. We can just kind of cheat it like that, right? And then take this colors, and the face has to be different. I can't just copy the face because the face has to be looking towards us more head on. So you do it like this. Do we like these? Do these look like the same guy? No, right? The eyes are too far apart. The mouth is too big. Do it like this instead. That look better? I think so. I'm not extremely happy with it, but I'm not unhappy with it either. Okay, and then let's say that we want another element which might kill you, right? And what might that... Well, actually, we want something that's collectible. So let's make like a key. And this key would be... Does that look like a key? No, it doesn't. Does this look like a key? Not really. Okay. Here's what I'm realizing, that I can't draw. Okay. Let's look for some reference images. Key. Key. Right. So this is what a key looks like. And let's just kind of copy that and see what happens. Something like that. No, let's do the old-timey key. I think that's better. It doesn't read as a key is the issue when I draw it. I think there's gotta be something to do with line thickness here that's kind of missing me. Does that read as a key? It kinda does, but not really. Okay, see, it does, but I don't like it. Maybe not a key. Maybe something else. But something that you would need to collect in order to pass a level, right? Something like a coin, right? Just a coin. I don't like the idea of making it a coin though. Jewel of some kind. Those are too generic is the issue. But then again, so is the key, isn't it? I don't want to have keys that will open doors in different... Oh, you know what though? I do like the coin actually. Okay, let's make it a coin. Make it just... or actually, rather than a coin, let's just make it a non-specific little shine thing. No, I want something that wants you to collect it, right? So, in the standard language of video games, it's a coin, right? That's what you do. It's a coin. Oh, but how the fuck do I draw a coin that doesn't look like complete ass? Right? And then I can just like take this gray. Actually, let's just use the same gray just for the sake of consistency in the art style. Just put it here, 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 and here. And then in order to make it look shiny, I can be like... Yeah, this doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. Okay, no coins then. What's another thing? Something that's just very obviously a collectible. Like a jewel, right? How about just a star, actually? That works a lot better, doesn't it? Because then I can just do like the very generic 5-pointed star, right? And it absolutely fits with this idea of like a very sketchy hand drawn look because it's a star, right? Like that's just how you would draw a star, and then have it just have like little jingly things all over so that it's more enticing to grab. Like this, right? And then when you animate it becomes clear what it's supposed to be. Okay, let's just start with those so then we're going to be saving this in my Unity stuff folder. Go to the resources, and this is going to be a grid atlas. And actually, before I save it, there's something else I want to do. I want it to have a space up top that only has these pink and green squares. And the reason I want to do that, you're about to see. It's because I want to be able to check that the auto grid thing in Unity is going to actually properly catch those. So it's going to look like this, right? So first of all, I want to save the whole thing in the PDN file so that I can have that access to that layer later. Yes, going to be grid items, and then I want to mute this layer, hide this layer, and then save it as a PNG as well. And yeah, grid items, image, grid items. Yes, Latin it, yes. Okay. So then, we'll go back to Unity, and now I want to import that image. So let's go with script settings, resources. Yes, there it is. And grab that thing. Where is it? Where did I put it? Yeah, right. There it is. Okay. So I grab... Oh, it didn't save. It didn't save? What the hell are you on about? Save as? Oh, I saved it. I just saved it somewhere else. Okay. Let's grab this and grab this. Put you over here. Okay, there you go. Okay, so now we have this. It has a bunch of empty space. That doesn't matter. I'm just putting it there in case I want to have something else there. Then we're going to have... This is going to be multiple. Apply. Actually, I forgot about one important thing. Format, compression, here. Filter point so that it doesn't try to anti-alias the edges. And then we go to the sprite editor, and now we have this. Okay, so I want you to slice them, but I wanted to use grid by cell size, and they should be... Yeah, 40, and it's probably 40 by 40. No, it's 40 by 41. That's awkward. Okay. Yes, do slice. Perfect. Okay, so now I have all of these elements separately. And now I can have each one of these have a thing, right? Now I can make a prefab that is each of these guys, each of these stupid little guys. And these terrains, they don't matter. Yes, delete them. That's going to create a bunch of orphaned references. That's fine, we can worry about those later. Actually, I wonder what happens to the camera if I do this. So what size does the camera think that it is? It is size of 2.2. Alright. For some reason I would have thought it would be just 0.7 or something. Oh no, it's because the field is not empty. Okay. Let's just make you have 0 and see what the camera does. It should be 0.7. Basically, I'm trying to catch a bug here. Yeah, it's 0.7. Okay, so it's fine. It works as intended. Okay, so I want to have a empty item. No, actually, it should be a sprite. UI sprite to the object. Sprite. Just a square, right? And so this square, and let's have another. This square is going to be for size comparisons, and this is the one that I'm actually going to make the thing, right? So then this is going to be a wall, and this wall is going to have, let's place it, actually let's put the comparison to the side, and this wall is going to have these 4 sprites, so we're going to give this as a vase, and then we're going to make it bigger so that it compares to the size of this square, right? We're going to layer 1, 0, 0, -1, right? And then this wall should be just big in proportion, but like it shouldn't touch the edges too hard, like this, right? Actually, we should check that none of them do. Yep, this works. Actually, I could have just checked it with this, right? Yep. Okay, so this is the size that we want. This is going to be the default, and then we're going to add the animator thing. Oh, I'm realizing something actually. This only is going to work with the UI component, with the UI thing. I'm going to need to create either a copy of this function or a different way that this function would work. Let's just create another one because I already called this one UI random sprite, so let's make another function that is going to be similar but not quite the same. So UI random sprite, this is going to be a different one that is going to be called just random sprite without the UI. Go here. And remove the UI from here so that the names match, because otherwise Unity freaks out. Oh, never mind, that's not the one that I want. Yeah, because otherwise it would have saved it as a name that doesn't exist anymore. Okay. Random sprite. Yeah, this works. This should be mostly the same, except it shouldn't be an image component, it should be a sprite renderer component. So, sprite render. I'm gonna call it image just so that I can use the rest. And then this is going to be the list of sprites. Yeah, that works. And then you go on image.sprite, sprite render. It should be called sprite, right? Sorry, what's going on? Why are you called random sprite 1? No, rename you. You should be called random sprite. And then close you because you don't exist anymore. Yeah, and then this is sprite. I don't know what happened there. Sprite renderer component, and everything else should be the same, I think. Right, okay, so now we'll go to this wall. and the sprite render is this, and then we feed it 4 because I have 4 total sprites for the wall. Resources, animation, where did I put it? Resources. Right, and then make it a bit bigger so that I can see. Take this wall and just grab all of these. Now, the things that are important are going to be moving 0.1 because that's the cycle of the arrows. But this one is going to be the ones that aren't are going to be moving a multiple of that, which are going to make 0. Let's say 4, right? So they move with a cycle of 4. And the reason for that is that I don't want the screen to feel too busy. So let's see how this wall moves, and maybe we'll decide if that is too much. Yeah, I'm fine with that. I think I'm fine with that. That might be a bit too much. I don't know. I'll decide later. But for right now, this works, right? And now this... Ooh, what's going on? Screen UI random sprite has not been assigned. Where? Random sprite 24. Hold on. What are you talking about? First of all, why are you UI random sprite? You should be just normal random sprite. Yep. Image. Yep, type mismatch, that's what we expect. But if I go to the prefab that is the arrows, yep, you do have that correctly assigned, so that's good. Now this wall should have that script. Random sprite, just the normal one right here. You give you the sprite renderer, do the 4 thing. No, not in prefabs, it's in resources. Go to wall. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 0.4. Right? And now make this into a prefab. There's a wall. Then we're gonna need another one like that is for the terrain. Let's keep this one because a thing that I want is for the size to be sort of the same. So let's make it actually. Let's delete. No, hold on, don't do that. First, unpack this. Pack completely. Then delete the prefab. And I want you to have a size that is a bit more reasonable. So let's say 2.4. 2.4. Does this still work? It seems to. Right? Yeah, like it doesn't seem to escape. Seems to have some padding. Let's do 2.3 just to be sure. 2.35. 2.35. Just split the difference. 2.35. Right. So now I know that all the others are going to be fine if they're that size. So let's just do that. Create an empty sprite that is a square. Make its scale to 0.35 and change your sprites to match, and this is going to be the empty, and we're going to pretty much just repeat what we did for the other one. So first of all, give you a component that is the random sprite. Make your default sprite one of these dots. and then on here give this random render to this script, and then give you the sprites that I want to give you, which is not that one, it's these. This one, this one, this one, and this one. And then make the switch time 0.4 so that you match the others. And then make you into a prefab as well. So then, the idea is I should be able to construct a little level with only those two things. So I take row 1, row 2, let's create one with 3 rows, right? Row 2 and a row 3. And row 1 is going to be, let's say, 8 things long. They're going to be enters, make it so. It's going to be 8 things long, and row 1 is going to be only walls. And 8, and row 3 is going to be the same, only walls. And then row 2 is going to be different in that it's going to be a wall, empty until it reaches 7, and then a wall to end. And then the field is going to be aware of those 3 rows. So we start with the bottom one so that they are in the same order that they're going to be displayed. 3, 2, 1. And then we can handle them. Right, a thing that I forgot is... Okay, I'm seeing a bunch of errors. What's going on here? And you? Where? Row index 29. Row index 29? But you're not a row index, you're a level generator. Do I have the right object? Row index 29. Oh, it's because right, I know what it is. They don't have the world positioner script. World positioner right here, and then for this one as well. Every object that is like a tiled object in the wall should have a world positioner. Does this read correctly? Does it read the way it's supposed to be read? I'm not sure how much I like it. I mean, I assume that once I populate it with more things, it's going to be a bit clearer. Okay, well, it doesn't matter. For now, I still have to make sure that the field, the level generator, is aware of which object is in which position. Because right now it knows the objects, but it doesn't know what they represent. It just knows them as random game objects, right? And that is not necessarily something that I want to happen that way. I want to have in memory what each slot is filled with, right? I think. Although, actually, do I? Because I can just access the tag from the script, right? So I don't have to store them manually. I can just have the tag, right? Actually, did that work? Let's see if that works. When you get a object, yeah, when you're going to position an object, yeah, actually, let's just go to this world positioner. When you start, just print me the tag of your object, just so that I can see it. Just so that I can see if you have access to it, right? Because if you do, then that means that I don't have to save anything. Untagged. It has printed a bunch of untagged right here. So now what I need to know is if I change the tags, will you print them correctly? So let's say that this is, we're going to create two tags, and this one's going to be, hold on, what? Yeah, we're going to create two tags. One that is for, let's start with, yeah, one for the wall, and one for the empty, let's call it space. And then just assign these correctly. So the wall has the wall tag, no, the wall tag, and the empty has the space tag, and then create them. So did you print them? Space, wall. Okay, so it works. Good. So I don't need to write my own logic to store those things in memory because it already has access to those things through the world positioner script that I've defined as the thing that makes the object an object placeable in the grid, right? So then, that means that I can get started immediately on just making the player and seeing how I'm going to make it move. So that's dope. Let's do that. First of all, let's delete that little debug log. I don't want that. And yeah, okay. So having that, let's go. Then let's create the player. Same way that we created the wall and these other things. So I create an empty object that is a 2D object that is going to be a sprite square. We're going to make sure that they're the same size. So this is 2.35 in all coordinates of 2.35. That is to maintain the pixel size of the thing. We're going to give the sprite renderer the resource that corresponds to what I'm going to call the default player sprite. It's going to be player. Let's give it the tag as well. This is a player, and let's just grab this guy. Look at him. Look at this little guy. Okay. And then the thing is, this guy is going to have different sprites that is going to cycle through depending on whether he's moving forwards or backwards, right? So I've realized that this guy seems to not have a mouth. Let's fix that real quick. Yep, that matches. Okay. Save it. Update it. Oh, right, because you're not saving where the they're not saved in the same spot. So show me this in the Explorer, and then yeah, Unity. Here, replace it. Now come to here. Did you replace it? Okay, so you did replace it, but for some reason it doesn't seem to have saved that mouth. Did I not replace it? Do replace it. Oh, I know what's happening. Yeah. Because I grabbed the wrong one from the wrong location. Yep, there it is. Okay. Okay, there we go. Now it should... Yep, mouth acquired. Okay, good. Okay, so let's start by giving him the default random image thing, random sprite. Yeah, it's this one. Yep, you. And we're going to give you... It's a number... It's 4. And since this guy is more important and more protagonic in the game, it's going to have a switch time that is going to match the arrow, so it's 0.1, right? But I want to give him different random sprite scripts, of which only one will be active at a time, right? So random sprite, it's going to be... Actually, I could do that, but the issue is that Unity sometimes has trouble displaying in a comfortable way when an object has 2 of the same component, right? Like, okay, like you see this? You see this, how this is referencing the sprite renderer? Well, the issue is that if I click it, it doesn't show me this guy, it shows me the guy that contains it, right? So if I have an object, a script, that is going to be switching these on and off, depending on which one is the one that I want, when I click on it, I wouldn't be able to know which one I'm selecting, so I wouldn't really know which one it corresponds with. And that just makes the display a little bit difficult. So instead, what we're going to have is we're going to have these on child game objects, and they are going to be purely dedicated to managing the sprite of the player. And then the player will have a script, and that script will be in charge of turning these other objects on or off, right? So sprites side, I'm gonna have a different one. Actually, let's finish the first one first, and then we'll worry about the other thing. So script random sprite, the sprite render is the one in player, and the 4 sprites that are facing the side are this one, this one, this one, and this one. Switch time is 0.1. And then we're gonna have sprites up, and this is almost the same thing. So this is this one, this one, this one, this one, and then we're gonna have another one that is for sprites down. And the sprites that we're going to feed it are this one, this one, this one, and this one. So the idea is you start with 2 of these off, and then we're gonna have another script, and this script is purely for managing that. So how do we manage that? Now let's just make it easy, right? Let's just have a script here, and this is script facing manager. We're gonna call it that. And this manages which elements to turn on or off depending on which side the character is facing. So then we do this. public void, and first of all, let's have, so we're going to have a actually I can make use of those enums that I made, right? Yeah, I can make use of these commands. So then I could have a, yeah, we're gonna have 3 objects, and they are going to be, we're gonna have 3, yeah, we're gonna need access to 3 objects. So public game object, it's going to be called the up turn, facing up. Public game object facing left. Public game object facing down. And then let's have it in some order. So up, left, right, down. So let's have a public game object facing right. Public game object facing right. And then we're gonna have a bool as well. Public bool flip right. So the reason why I'm gonna have 2 different ones, even though these 2 are going to be the same, is because I may want to have this script be useful for other things that may not necessarily want to be flipped. That's why I use this one, right? Flip. So then we're gonna have 4 functions. Public void face up. They're public because I'm gonna want to call them from a different thing. So actually, public change facing, and it's going to have a yeah, it's going to receive a variable of type command, and it's going to be called direction. So now the idea is we're going to switch into different things depending on which direction you're being given. So switch direction. Case 1. The direction is up. Case 2, 3, 4. Up, left, right, and down. So first of all, before we even check, we're gonna have to turn off all 4 game objects. So facing up, point, set active, and set it to not active, and then do the same for the others. So facing left, facing right, and facing down. Then if the command that you were given is facing up, then make this active. If it is facing left, then make the facing left object active. If it is facing right, make the right object active. If it is facing down, then make the down object active. If you have the flip variable on, then facing right on top of, actually, yeah, then make the right, then on top of activating the right, you're going to also flip the sprite. So if flip, then transform point scale fucking hell. Yeah, it's just a pain in the ass because even though it's a vector 3, it doesn't let me edit some of the vector 3 components. I have to edit the whole thing at a time. So I have to take the scale, edit the component, and then shove it back in, right? I can't just take the component and edit it in the same line. So transform point scale equals, let's just say new vector 3 transform point scale point x, so that one keeps the same. Yeah, because I don't want to just do minus transform point scale, because then that's going to discoordinate if or rather it allows the possibility. So I want it to be negative, always negative. So what I would need to do is do minus. Actually, what am I thinking? Is the transform scale? It's the x that I want to edit. So transform scale point y, and then transform scale point z. This, and then dx is the one that I want to edit. So this should be minus the absolute value. So the absolute value is the positive of, so it's always positive. So the absolute value of a number is the number without any sign, so always positive. So, you know, the absolute value of 2 is 2, the absolute value of minus 2 is also 2. The absolute value of 0 is 0, the absolute value of 5.67 is 5.67, but of minus 5.67, it is positive 5.67, right? So that gives me the always positive version of this number, and then this makes it negative, so this makes it so it's always negative, even if it already was negative, right? Rather than multiplying by minus 1, which flips it. So if it's positive, it'll make it negative, but if it's negative, it will make it positive. It's math shit, basically. Okay. And that should do it, right? So now whenever you receive a command that tells you, oh, am I facing up, am I facing down, it should activate and deactivate the right thing and then flip you if that's what I want. And then I don't need to undo the flip when it's facing up or down, because it still works if those sprites are flipped. The only ones that don't, that need to be flipped or not, are going to be left facing or right facing. So this does mean that I'm going to have to make sure that if I have another thing that I want to be flipped to the left, I have to make sure that the default sprite is always facing left and never right. But that's an easy thing to make sure of, or to fix, even if I do get it wrong. So then this should work. But now I need a way to tell this thing to actually do this thing. So let's just have a way for me to debug this, just so that I can check it without having to do the rest of the logic, right? So we're going to have a public bool that is called debug, and when this is active, it's going to have some extra behavior that I'm not going to want in the end game, right? So public on the update, if not debug, if debug is not active, actually I shouldn't use that name, because that's a name that Unity already uses. Let's call it test. If test mode is not active, then just return, I don't want you to do anything here. Otherwise, then I want you to look for inputs. So if input point get key down W, then change facing command point up, and then do the same for the other keys. So W, A, S, D, A, S, D. This should be uppercase A. I'm not sure it makes a difference, actually. Up, left, down, right. And in line 48, you're expecting a semicolon that I apparently forgot. Oh yeah, it's this one. Method must have a return type. Yeah, void. Just I don't want it to return anything. And which one is that? Oh, it's the update. Okay, it shouldn't be public to begin with. It should be just void. Oh boy, that's a lot of... Okay. Transform does not have definition for scale. What? What are you talking about? Of course it does. Is it local scale? Okay, math does not have a definition for apps. I guess, I know that there's a way to get the absolute value. I guess I've just forgotten which one it was. Unity, math, apps. Probably uppercase. Yep, it's just uppercase A. Because it's a Unity library, not just a default library, I think. Is it? It should be a default library, it's fucking math. I remember it's a default library in C. Well, it's not default, but it's not a Unity specific thing, is what I'm saying. Okay, yeah, let's get this guy out of here so that I can check whether it's working. And actually, I'm being very dumb because I haven't put those scripts anywhere. Script, I want the facing manager, and the facing up object is called sprites up, facing left is sprites left, facing right is also sprites side, sprites down is facing down. I do want you to flip and I do want to test you. Okay, input key named W is... What the fuck do you mean? Obviously, it's... Obviously, it's W. Do you need me to be... Do you need it to be lowercase? Is that it? So I know that this works. If this worked for me once, and I remember because I was surprised that it did. Yep, let's see. Yeah, there you go. Okay, it works. Does he look bad? Oh, okay, I forgot. Yeah, once it flips the scale once, it doesn't flip it back, and that's because I forgot to put the same thing in left. So yeah, if flip, make it the absolute value, but this time positive and not negative. Right? First of all, let's get this stuff out of the way, right? Okay, the sprites themselves could use some work, but like, this works. Like, it doesn't look terrible, you know? And the system works, which is what's important, right? Like, it's moving in the ways that I expect. Okay, so that works, and now let's give this player that other component that every single object in the grid should have, the world positioner, and then we'll make this player a prefab. Put it here, and then we will delete this and give this to the row 2 instead of that one empty. And now the world should generate with a player in it. Yeah, that works. And of course the idea is that now I can move the player through the world by move the player through the world by simply editing this. So, you know, move left, does that, right? So then, now we need to actually make sure that the movement system kind of works, right? A thing that I can do is, let's have this schedule panel, right? This schedule panel is going to, it should have a script. Yeah, the scheduler. It has this script that sends out a little signal, or at least it should send out a little signal. Right, it does this execute command. So what I could do is have the player have a script that is just a singleton that receives this command and then moves itself to the appropriate space. Then this grid. Hold on, I'm thinking. Okay, first of all, the player should be tagged as player. Yep, it is. Okay, good. Already. Now then, the one that knows where everything is the Grid Arena Manager. So, not Grid Arena Manager, that's not what it's called. It's called the Level Generator. The Level Generator is the one that holds the position of every single thing, right? It has an array of scripts, and those scripts each have an array of slots, and each slot has a different game object, or rather has a world positioner, which again is the thing that defines whether an object is positionable on the grid. And the thing is that works pretty much just as a two-dimensional array, because it's an array within a thing that is accessible within an array. It's not exactly the same, but it's good enough, right? So since that one has the position, it probably should be that handles the movement, because otherwise if it is a script within the player, then it's going to be a thing that then the player script is going to need to access the level generator, and then the level generator is going to have to give it a response, and then the player is going to have to act. When, if it's the level generator instead that holds that, then the level generator, everything happens within the same script, right? But actually, isn't it better, even if it has to ask? Because at any point, there's only going to be one level generator and only one player, so it doesn't really matter. It's not like it's going to make the things more complicated. They can just make both of them singleton instances, and then if they're both singleton instances, then there's no problem of like cross references, right? Or like cross of like dropping references, because they both exist in only one instance, right? Okay, I'm going to tell you what. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a break. I'm going to go to the restroom, and then I'm going to mull it over while I'm there, and then I'll come back with an answer of how I want to do it. Alright, I've decided on how I want to do this. I think that the idea of making them all singleton instances is probably for the best. Seems like it would be easy to implement, and also gives me a very easy way to reset a level, or rather to generate another level, because if I make the level manager, the level generator, a singleton, and then make sure that there are not two at any one point in time, because then that of course makes singleton instances kind of not work. That's why they're called singleton. You want there to only be one. That means that I don't have to bother with despawning a level, because I can just generate another one, and then in order to make it retain the singletonness of the instance, I'll make it delete the other one, and then it's deleted, so I don't have to bother doing the reload process and anything. So I think that's actually a good idea. And then the player is going to have its own scripts that will handle that, but because they're both singleton instances, there's no risk of cross-shed. So first of all, I'm going to need to make this a singleton instance, which is easy. I mean, it's just some code I have to copy and paste at this point. The scheduler is also a singleton. So, yeah. Right, so like this. Except instead of the scheduler, it has to be the level generator, like this. But instead of destroying this one, right, because that's the thing, this works right now, that when it finds an instance already exists, it'll destroy itself in order to not have a duplicate. But I don't want it to destroy itself. If there's a new level generator, then I want that to replace the older one. So rather than destroying this, we're going to destroy the instance, and then after doing that, we're going to create this, make this one the instance, right? And then that's it, right? And now this is accessible from anyone without having to specify which GameObjects version of the level generator, because this just tells us there's only one. Making a public static means that there's only going to be one. Okay, so that is done. And now what I need to do is make it so that the scheduler can tag the player and feed it the command that is about to be executed, and then the player can react accordingly depending on what the level generator tells it. So we're gonna have a player script, right? Player movement script. And that is going to be a singleton instance. So then we go to this here script. We're gonna script player movement. Let's start with the easy bit and just make it a singleton instance. This one we are going to make it work the other way. Nope, not that. It was the scheduler. Okay, there's too much shit here. I know that I need those. Don't need that. 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 Okay. So yeah, just copy this and paste it here. And with the magic of copy paste, it has become a singleton instance. Then let's just get rid of this. Okay. Public void try movement. So when it tries to try movement, and it's going to receive a type of command, going to be called a movement, right? And then we're going to tell the scheduler that when it executes a command, it has to take the player and tell it to try that movement. So script player movement, instance, try that movement. We're going to give it that command. So now, this player is going to try that command. What it needs to do in order to move First, it has to change the sprite. Why does it do that first before checking if the movement is available? Because if you push against the wall, then turning the player towards that wall just kind of gives that a bit more punch. Like I want the player to, if it tries to move against the wall, I don't want the player to just not react. I want the player to turn towards the wall and then just stay in place, right? So first we're going to turn, and in order to do that we need to access that other script that I made in order for the player to have that sprite reaction so that it changed the sprite that is currently active. The way that works is, well, first of all, before I forget, let's give the player that script, right? So this script that is the player movement, right? It just will have it. And then this script is going to need a reference to that facing manager. So let's just give it that. After this, public script facing manager. Nope, it's facing manager facing script. Right? And so it shall take this facing script, and then from it, it's going to activate the right thing. So change facing, and we'll give it that command that we just received. Change facing, that command. And then that script will know what to do. We don't worry about that anymore. Then we actually have to try the movement. So in order to try the movement, what do we do? Well, the script that holds our current position in the the script that holds our current position in the grid is the world positioner. So we're gonna need a reference to that, and we're gonna ask it what that desired world position is. We're gonna need this. We're gonna need to know what that is. So script world positioner, world. Actually, we're just called position script. Right, and then we're going to have to take that position, and we're going to need to, right? So first of all, we're going to need a vector of integers, an integer vector. We're going to take this, and this thing is going to be equal to the position script's desired position, desired world position, but we're gonna have to convert that to a vector to int. So make that, and this is going to be called grid position. Grid position. Now the question is that a thing that I can do? Can I just implicitly convert a vector to a vector to int? Okay, so first of all, I just wrote this wrong. This should have an uppercase. Cannot convert vector to. Okay, hold on. What do you mean that's not valid? First of all, this should be a change facing with an uppercase. Just forgot that. Second of all, this is just the right thing. Okay, why am I referencing myself? No, that's not the thing. It's the facing script. Okay, the name change facing does not exist. The context that is in facing manager 16. Right. I just wrote it wrong the first time, so now I have to fix every instance of it. Yeah, I cannot. Okay, back to that error. We can't convert a vector to a vector to integer, but we can convert the floats that make a vector to into a vector to integer. So we can just take a roundabout way to do this. We can just say that this is going to be new vector 2 of integers, and it's going to be composed of first of all a float, no, not a float, an integer conversion of the x component of that vector 2, and then an integer conversion of the y component of the same vector. And that is going to give us basically a conversion from one to the other, which to be honest should be automatic. Like if C# can already convert between floats and integers, then it should be trivial to convert between a vector2 and a vector2 of integers. Like it should be just like oh, you need to write the algorithm. I just wrote it right there. There it is. That's how you do that. You know. It just feels a bit silly that that's not a thing that there is, because Unity already implements a few conversions that are just convenient to have, like from vector2 to vector3. It just creates or gets rid of a ghost C component that it assumes to be 0 or unimportant in some way. So, you know, I would have thought that they would have also thought of that. But I guess they didn't. Whatever, it's fine. Yeah, now we have this grid position, and now we can use that grid position to query the level generator. We can ask it, hey, what's the element of that coordinate, right? So, yeah, it returns me a world positioner. So yeah, we can just ask it, hey, what's the element of that coordinate? We can go, hey, level generator. The current instance of the level generator. Could you please tell me what's the element at the coordinate grid position? But actually that's not what I want, because I know that the element at the coordinate grid position is just the player. I need to take that grid position and add or subtract depending on where I want to move, right? So right, so the thing that I'm considering is that I could just do that in the script, but that's such a useful thing to convert a movement, a command to a vector2 integers, to vector2 int. But I may just make a generic function for that in the level generator. Let's do that. Yeah, that's easy enough to do. Okay, so public returns a vector to integers, and it says it's gonna be command, no, just direction to vect, right? And it's going to input a command that is just going to be the direction that is input, and then, you know, switch direction and do a different thing depending on what that is. I mean, this is basically just the lookup table, right? So yeah, case 1, that direction is the up direction. Then return new vector to int up, right? 0 y, but y, yeah, right. This is why I made it the same as the Unity coordinate system, so that I could just quick reference this stuff easily. So up is positive y, so 0, 1, and then do the break. I forgot the break, and then do the same for the other ones. So up, down, left, right. Down is -1. Left should be -1 on the x, but let's double check that. Left is, yeah, left is -1, and then right is +1. So then we can have, so now we take this grid position, and we want to add it to it. the current command, and that will give us the grid position that we're trying to move into, right? So yeah, take the level generator and ask it, what do you get if you convert that direction to vector? Point instance, point direction to vector, and the direction is movement. Now, the grid position now is our target square, and we want to know what's at the target square, so we take the level generator and we ask it, what's the element in that target square? And here's the thing where we actually check, right? So we can do a switch case here, right? Yeah, switch. Take that position and take the tag, right? Take the tag. Case 1, that tag is wall. The wall stops your movement, so wall. And this is the case where it stops movement, because I may have another thing that I want to do the same thing, so just I'm gonna write it here so that I know what it should do. It stops movement. Right. If it is a wall, then well, it should do nothing, but let's just print the debug so that I know that it is actually going in here. Wall. The other case is where the thing is, for right now, the only cases that exist are either it's a wall or it's an empty. Yeah, it's not done yet, so that's why it's throwing errors. It's either a wall or an empty, right? And the tag for the other one is space. So if the case is that it is, actually it's wall uppercase. Yeah, if the case it is that it is space, allow movement, then break, and just print that debug, and then we will know if this is working or if we need to, or we will know if we can go ahead, right? Space. Okay. Not all code paths return a value. Are you sure? This? Yeah, they do. Those are all the commands. Up, down, left, right? Yeah, not all. Okay. Just otherwise return null, I guess. Yep, there you go. Unreachable code detected. Vector to in because it is a non-nullable type. Where? The level generator 75. For fuck's sake. Yeah, return a vector to in 0, 0 then. Just, we're gonna say that that is the invalid. What even is a non-nullable type? Why would a type be non-nullable? This makes no sense. That's just bad. No, it's not actually. There's probably a good reason for it, but I don't know what it is. Okay, unreachable code at level generator 64. Where? What? Oh, does a return already count as like a break for these? For these switches? Oh yeah, that makes sense actually. I'm just gonna write them in one line then if that's the case. Just to have everything look prettier. Yeah, they're just, in this case return that, in this case return that, just, it's easy to read. Okay, no compilers. Let's make this look nicer, just cause. Like this, like this, like this, like this. There you go. That looks a lot nicer. Okay, so what I should be getting here is it should be getting prints depending on whether there's a wall or a space on whenever the arrow is pointing. So here, if I press the left mouse button, I should be getting space wall. Okay. So that is a null reference point command not set on instance. Right, it's because I forgot to add those scripts to the player, I assume. Player. Yeah, no, it has the player movement, but it doesn't have the references. So the facing script is this one, and the position script is this one. Okay, so again, on left click we're expecting space wall, and on right click we're expecting wall. And the sprite is updating to show where the guy is facing. And just to check with this, right, this only matters for the other one. Right, okay, so let's take this facing manager. We will take this function, this test stuff, outside of the facing manager, and we're going to be putting it on the player movement, because that allows me a wider range for testing stuff. Player movement, you are going to have this update, this swanky little update, and you are going to have that bool. That is a variable, public test, public bool type variable that is for testing, right? And instead of changing facing, you're going to do try movement, but it's going to be of that same command, right? That makes it so that I can test, so that when the movement is available, I can test it from there instead of having to have it on the scheduler. Of course, I still want to test up with the scheduler, but you know, when I want the player to go, I don't have to limit myself to that stuff too much, right? So. Yeah, I need to give that variable active. Yep, there you go. Okay, you're not reacting, so that test variable may not be working. Player movement, test. If not test, return. If test, full test, yes. Yes, if you do have test, then check those inputs. Try movement command went up. Oh, because I was selecting the prefab, not the object that was already generated. There you go. Okay, I've noticed something. It's barely noticeable, but there's a bit of lag between when I press, between when it changes sprite. And that is because these script, where are they? And that is because this script that changes the facing changes, no, not that one. That is because the script that activates when this object is activated doesn't change the sprite immediately, but only does it after a timer. So what I could do is have a variable on-enable, have an action that happens when this is enabled. So on-enable, the first thing that you gotta do is switch the sprite for the one that is on the image. Yeah, switch the sprite just for the first one that you have on the list. So image point sprite equals the first one in the sprite list. It doesn't matter, it's arbitrary, any of them would do. I could do a random call, but I don't wanna. I don't think it deserves that, right? And let's change that index to 0 as well, so that we don't repeat the sprite in this occasion either. Yeah, that feels a lot better. And then if I click, it executes the movements just fine. Okay, so now that I know that the logic works, right, I can ask the player movement to do the stuff that I wanted to do. I want to move it, right? And it would be very easy to do if I just change the world positioner. But the problem is that it's going to move the player, but it's not actually going to move it in the mind of the level generator. The level generator is not going to know that it moved. So now it's not going to know where the player is. So what I need to do is I need to have a function that will move an object to a place, that will switch the place of two objects. And of course, moving the player is switching the place of an empty and the player. So we're going to need to do that function. Public void, it doesn't return anything. It's going to switch objects. And it's going to receive two vectors, two integer vector 2s. To int object 1 and vector to int object 2. So first it's going to get the element, actually position 1 and position 2, right? So what it's going to do is it's going to first get those two elements. So object 1 is going to be equal to, it is a world positioner type, and it's going to give me the one at that coordinate, so the one at position 1. Then it's going to do the same for position 2. Object 2, same code, but for position 2. Right? So now that I have the two objects, I just switch them in the memory of the level generator. That is important because if I don't do that, then this function is going to stop working as it should. Like, level generator knows where everyone is. That is very important to happen, right? So take the world positioner. Yeah. So we're going to have to go into the list of rows, and rows are the y. So object 1.y, and inside of that we're going to go into, for each row there is a row. For each row there's a list of slots, so we go into those slots, and the position there is object, no, it's not object, it's position 1, and the slot is in position 2, that is the x component, position 1.x, right? And then that slot used to be the world positioning, right? Used to be the world positioner of the one, it's going to be now the world positioner of the other. So that equals object 2. And then the same thing, but instead of 1 is positions 2, and in there we put object 1. Now they are switched, but now we need to tell their world positioners that they must move to that position. So object 1, that is the first world positioner, inside of that positioner's desired world position, we're going to put position 2, and the same for the opposite. So object 2, give it position 1. Then each world positioner is going to switch them, right, with that lerp motion that I like, and each slot is going to be correctly exchanged, right? So let's see if that works. What we should see now is the player move, but only towards empty spaces and not bumping into walls. Okay, the player is not moving towards the empty. Did I forget to call the switch? I think that's what happened. Yeah. Switch objects, player movement. Yeah, it's not. When you find the space, instead of just debugging, just printing this name, tell the level generator that you want to switch places with it. Level generator point instance switch objects, and the objects that you want to switch are the one in your position. So yeah, position script desired world position, and the other position is the grid position that you're trying to move into. So this one. Yep, that one. Can I convert vector2 to vector2 integer? Where is that? Okay, well, the world positioner is going to have a function that just spits out the integer version of that because this is a pain in the ass to write every time. So public vector, it returns a vector to integers. It's going to be called int desired world position. It's going to return a new vector to int that is going to be yeah, just integer of the x component, integer conversion of the x component, x, and then same thing, integer integer conversion of the y component of the desired world position. And this is just the function that just returns me the integer version of this vector2, because this needs to be a vector2, because otherwise this lerp doesn't work, right? So I'm just gonna have that function in there, and then I can just take this player movement and be like, hey, this grid position, it equals position script int desired world position, the int version of the desired world position variable, which is gonna have that, and then we can just same thing here, and now I don't have to bother writing that shit every time. And then that should actually, let's just make it look nicer. That should do it. That should make it so that it works. Move right. Yeah, and I can test it by just using my other script. It just switches places with the empty spots. Ah, yeah, it works. It works pretty damn well. It doesn't seem to even mess up when I move it along, right? Because the actual changes in positions are happening instantly, right? In memory, and the only thing that is taking a while is just the lerp function, but the lerp function always catches up to the position in memory. Yeah, this is pretty cool. This is working very nice. Okay, so now what I'm going to need to be doing is do a couple of other things. Do like a thing that finishes the level, and a thing that unlocks the end of the level, like a thing that you have to collect before ending the level, right? Yeah, this is going pretty good. And then the important part is that it works with this scheduler, right? So like if I were to take this scheduler and tell it, yeah, and tell it that I want. Where do I check that? Where are those two positions? Where are those two positions stored actually? That's yeah, because they're in the input, not in the position. If I were to take this input panel and I were to give it the directions left, right, and right, and then I were to just trigger that. Now I have the exact same thing that I wanted, just movement that can be queued. This needs sound effects, right? You need to just kind of hear a little blip whenever he moves to the left or to the right, and the different blip whenever he tries to walk into a wall. That's how you give it a bit of game feel. But this, it just works, right? Oh, fuck, this works way too good. The idea is that if you're really good at the game at just catching over stuff quickly, you can just queue a bunch of movements and then the guy will just do them in order, and it'll be really satisfying to see your plans come to fruition, right? Okay, so I'm just gonna code. Okay, so yeah, I think that's gonna be it for today. I've been at it for 3 hours and I've made a lot of progress. I'm happy with this amount of progress. I think what I'm going to do next time, right? I'm going to have to. In fact, I'm going to write it here. Let's just write a little reminder of what I'm going to do. Let's copy and paste this. Does changing one change the other two? Let me see. Yeah, it's just it doesn't work. It doesn't quite work. Also, why are you not anti-aliased? You should be anti-aliased. You shouldn't be anti-aliased. That's odd. That's very odd, actually. One of them is blurry and the other one isn't. Why is that? No, die. Can remove that. Okay. Let's write this. Yeah, I don't want this. Actually, I do want to keep this because this is what I use for when I'm in. I'll be right back. So let's just put this here and put it here. And I want another one that is exactly like this, but I want to copy, paste, duplicate, paste the duplicate. This? Yes. Make it unblurry, please. Make it blurry, please. Make it unblurry, please. No, it just becomes a different level of blurry. That's very weird. That's very weird. No, just remove that. Copy this. Paste the duplicate. Why is the duplicate blurry? It's supposed to be the exact same. Okay, hold on. I'm just fighting with OBS now. Okay, you know what? Let's just die. I'm gonna create another object. Text GDI, yeah. To do. Going to be from the same font, but it's gonna be size 22. Make it just. What was the font? Yeah, okay. What was the font? The font is Berlin Sans FB regular. Okay. Mute you. Berlin Sans FB. Sans FB regular. Size 22. Yep. The text is just to do Disable the anti-aliasing. Oh, you freaking MILF. Just disable the anti-aliasing when I tell you to disable the anti-aliasing. Okay, there you go. That's how you do it. Okay. So, to-do list. What are we going to be doing next time? Next time, we are going to... we have to create a door and a key. And those are all the elements that are going to be... Well, a door and a coin, right? Door to finish. And coins needed for door. They may not be coins and it may not be a door, but that's the function that they're supposed to serve in the game, right? And then those are all the elements that I'm going to be needing to create a couple of levels. So we're going to be doing those as well. We're going to be creating the first set of levels. The first set of levels works with only those two mechanics, and then we're going to start introducing them little by little, and we're going to be making them in the game. We're going to be implementing those mechanics as we come across them. So then create the first set of levels. I don't know how many levels that's going to be, but probably something like 4 or 5, right? I just need the player to understand those mechanics, right? That weird movement mechanic. So I'm gonna need to do that. Also, another thing that we're gonna be doing next time is going to be the color system. Color system. What do I mean by that, right? The thing is, you've noticed that the player is this white color and the bricks are white and gray. The reason why I made them like that is so that I can change their color here, right? Where is that? So I can change their color like here, and it'll change properly, right? Or semi-properly. But the thing is that I want to have different levels with different color schemes, right? To give them a little bit of personality, and also to mark better progress when you go from one set to the next, right? Whenever you introduce a new mechanic, the whole level layout color palette kind of changes. That's the plan anyway. So in order to do that, I'm gonna need the rows that create the levels to pass colors to these things as they get created, right? And I'm gonna need to decide which things are going to be which colors. The idea is that then I can make each level generator, I can give it just a set of an array of little things that is just the different color schemes that I want for each level, and then these are all going to be created with the correct color scheme, right? The idea is there will be things that follow the scheme, things that follow a complementary color, and things that just are always the same color no matter what. And then the background needs to change color too. We don't worry about how that works exactly later. But that's it then. That's how we're gonna be. That's where our progress ends for today. I'm really happy with how this is coming along. This guy is a little bit cute, and I'm gonna be working on his sprites a little bit better. In particular, when he faces down, it feels like he becomes too thin, right? So I'm gonna need to just make sure to keep his body proportions a bit more consistent. But yeah, he needs some work. The walls also could use some more. I'm gonna worry about that later. That's it for me today then. I'm gonna be seeing you next time.